Welcome to Ademco's training seminar on the installation of the Vista series products. Your company has decided to adopt the latest generation of controls in the alarm industry. Ademco engineers have designed a control panel family that brings together keypad programming, SMD components, and state-of-the-art display technology. Vista is available as a self-contained unit for maximum economy. It's also available as a traditional control, where the electronics and terminal strip are in a metal cabinet. In this case, a remote keypad is used. The heart of the Vista family is a 16-bit microprocessor, which is more powerful than those found in most personal computers. It has allowed Ademco to include an unprecedented number of features in Vista. Vista is available with a full set of accessories, and it supports a number of different installation methods. For one thing, you won't have to program any more proms, as Vista is entirely keypad programmable. It can also be remotely programmed through downloading. Vista is a family of products that can meet a wide range of protection requirements. It's available in 6 different versions: the basic system 4130, the 4130 XT, the Alpha Vista 5130, and the 5130 XT. The 4140 AT and the 4170 ATX are Vista panels with electronics housed in a metal control cabinet. When we say that Vista is a family of products, we really mean it. While each control in the line has different capabilities, they all work in the same way. So you only have one product to learn, one product to service, and one look to sell to your customers. They can be used interchangeably, and they will cover the vast majority of your installations. To fully understand the capabilities of the Vista series, let's take a look at what a Vista system can do. First, the basic 4130 control. It's a self-contained unit with a 12-key backlit digital keypad. Our market research has shown that consumers prefer movable keys. Vista keypads use movable keys on top of reliable membrane switches, and there's a nice audible tone when the key is pressed. The 4130 has a liquid crystal fixed English language display. There's no confusing blinking lights or indicators. Only the information you need to know appears on the display. The system has a built-in 85 decibel piezoelectric sounder. This sounder will save you the cost of an internal sounder and the time it takes to install it. The 4130 is fully keypad programmable into permanent EEPROM memory. Even if the system is powered down for 10 years, the programming variables will remain intact. There are 9 wired zones and 4 keypad-activated zones standard with the Vista 4130. The 4130 XT has the same features as the 4130, but can be expanded to 17 wired zones and has 15 user codes instead of 8. The 4130 XT has the Ademco High Speed and the Ademco Express formats. It's also downloadable. The Alpha Vista 5130 control is an alphanumeric equivalent to the 4130. A 2-line 32-character alphanumeric display can carry English language descriptions of protection points. These descriptions can be created from choosing from a library of 220 words and 5 words of your choice. Alpha Vista models have a built-in user's manual. The user simply holds down the function key he is interested in, and operating instructions will scroll on the display. The 5130 XT is the alphanumeric equivalent to the 4130 XT. It allows the central station to download up to a 127-character message to the subscriber. The message will appear right on the console's alphanumeric display. The Vista 4140 AT is in a traditional metal cabinet with a separate keypad. It has 15 user codes, 9 wired zones expandable to 17, and it's downloadable. It can use either the fixed English language keypad or the custom alphanumeric keypad. It has an alarm relay output capable of up to 2.8 amps. The Vista 4170 ATX comes standard with a loop module for expansion to 17 wired zones. It has 2 built-in siren drivers and an optional output to power additional smoke detectors or sounders. 4 voltage trigger outputs are available for long-range radio and derived channel. Besides the powerful internal sounder, all Vista controls can drive 2 Ademco number 740 alarm sounders for indoor and outdoor use. The 740 is extremely loud, with 122 decibels at 10 feet. Vista can also drive a BRK PA400B, which is a 90 decibel indoor sounder that can be directly mounted on an electrical box. Vista supports up to 3 2-wire smoke detectors in Zone 1 as a supervised fire zone. Today, keeping costs down is essential, And the use of two-wire smoke detectors is economical because they're easy to install. They don't require end-of-line power supervision for a UL listing. The plug-in digital communication interface is compatible with a number of different formats. Let's first discuss the physical zones available on Vista. Zone 1 can be used as an end-of-line resistor supervised fire zone, or as a non-fire zone with normally closed contacts and normal response. As a fire zone, it can support up to 3 12-volt two-wire smokes, such as the BRK 1800 or 2800 series. Zones 2 through 8 can be used with or without end-of-line resistor supervision and have normal response. Zone 9 uses normally closed contacts and is a fast response zone. If you wish, one physical zone can be programmed as non-bypassable, and if you're using an expandable Vista, zones 10 through 17 support any vector multiplex peripherals. All physical zones used must have a zone characteristic selected for it. There are 10 zone characteristics available. First, there is burglary entry-exit, or delay number 1. This is assigned to sensors which are on a door through which entry and exit will normally take place. Upon entry, the control will sound a warning that the system must be disarmed. This can be programmed as 3 short beeps or a continuous warning sound. If the correct code is not entered during the program delay period, the alarm will sound. There is a second entry-exit burglary zone type, and it's also called delay number 2. This can be assigned to a different entry and exit delay period than delay number 1. Use this on a separate door that would require a longer time to reach the keypad when entering, and more time to leave when exiting, such as overhead garage or loading dock doors. The third zone type is for perimeter burglary. This is normally assigned to all sensors on exterior windows and seldom used doors that require an instant alarm upon disturbance. The fourth zone type is interior follower. This is a delayed alarm that is dependent on the entry-exit zone being faulted first. This is assigned to an interior zone for a lobby or a foyer, which has to be passed through to disarm the system. Fifth is a trouble by day, alarm by night. This can be assigned to a zone which is a controlled access area where immediate notification of an entry is desired. When the system is disarmed, a trouble condition will result. When armed, an immediate alarm will result. Examples of this application might be a foil-protected store window or a door to a stockroom. The sixth zone type is 24-hour silent alarm. This zone is utilized with a wired or wireless emergency button. These are designed to initiate an alarm report to the central station, but does not produce a local alarm or display. In contrast, the 24-hour audible alarm will produce an indoor and outdoor alarm and display, as well as send an alarm report to the central station. The 24-hour auxiliary alarm can be used for a personal emergency button or with a zone containing water or temperature sensors. It is designed to communicate an alarm to the central station, but also provide console alarm sounds and an alarm display. However, no external sounding is provided for this zone type. The ninth zone type is for supervised fire. Opens in this zone will result in troubles. Shorts will result in alarms, and fire zones may not be bypassed. Zone type 10 is the interior delay zone. This is typically assigned to an interior zone containing a PIR that covers an area through which the user must pass to disarm the control. It's ideal for an apartment entrance foyer that has a keypad. It does not depend on the entry-exit zone being faulted first. When you establish the zone type to be assigned to each physical zone, fill out Table A in Vista's installation instructions. The 4140 AT and the 4170 ATX are installed in the same manner as traditional security systems. There is a control cabinet which houses the electronics, terminal strip, and battery. Remote keypads are wired to the control panel. The communicator board is connected to the main circuit board in the same way as the self-contained Vista products. The self-contained Vista controls can be mounted in 4 ways: recessed, flush, surface, or cabinet mounting. In a residential installation, A well-illuminated outside wall of a foyer or hall closet is ideal for mounting the keypad. The closet provides easy access to the wiring. The first mounting method we'll discuss allows you to recess any modules into the wall, while leaving the control with the look of a surface-mounted keypad. This is the backplate that allows you to recess the module boards into the wall. Using diagonal cutters, clip the cutaways and break out the stamped-out plastic. Drill 4 holes in the wall based upon the screw holes in the template. Place 4 screw anchors in the wall. Screw the plastic backplate in. Now, while using the inside edge as a template, cut the inner area out with a keyhole saw. A keyhole saw will allow you to cut the wall fast and accurately. Mount the digital communicator board by inserting the rounded end of the 3 plastic standoffs into the holes on the control board marked A, B, and C. Press them in until they snap into place. Insert the 13-pin male-to-male adapter into the socket on the underside of the communication interface board. Now, guide the adapter pins on the communications board into the socket on the control board, while allowing the plastic standoffs to partially enter the holes on the communications board. Press the communication board down so that the connector pins are fully seated and so that the standoffs snap into place. If backup battery power is not supplied from a remote location, a battery back box must be installed behind the wall opening. Both 1.2 or 4 amp-hour battery back boxes are available. It should be installed so that the lip of the back box hooks over the bottom edge of the wall opening. Now place the battery into the back box. With an insulated wire splice, connect the wire end of the red lugged 12-inch lead to the red lead coming from the 24-pin connector. Connect the lug end of the red lead to the positive terminal on the battery. In the same way, connect the wire end of the black lugged 12-inch lead to the black lead coming from the 24-pin connector. Now connect the lug end of the black lead to the negative terminal on the battery. Pull all control and communication interface wiring in the wall through the opening and splice the appropriate wires as shown in the Summary of Connections diagram. If you prefer, the number 4144 plug-in terminal strip plugs directly into the back of the control and features push-in wiring. It helps if you remember that the white wires with the stripes represent the zone connections. In fact, the stripes are color-coded to represent zone numbers. This color code coincides with the resistor color code. Insulated solderless wire splices, such as the Ademco number 311, can be used for the splicing. These splices allow meter probe insertion at one end. Double-check your zone wiring prior to making permanent splices to the harness. When the interface wiring is completed, keep a record of it on the wire assignment tag attached to the wires on the 24-pin connector. Attach the interconnecting wires to the small terminal on the digital communicator board. If a ground start phone line is being used, terminal 1 should be connected to the blue lead on the number 675 ground start module. Terminals 2 and 3 should be connected to the tip and ring of the incoming phone line, respectively. And terminals 5 and 4 should be connected to the handset. If you are using a number 4131 or 4147 remote keypad, splice those wires to the wires on the 10-pin connector supplied for this purpose. Be sure to match the wire colors and insulate all of the splices. Attach the main body of the control to the back cover. It should snap into place. Replace the securing screw on the front of the control. The small Vista nameplate or the private label can now be placed into the recessed opening at the front of the control. A remote key switch can be used for remote arming and disarming. This is an installer programmed option. A normally open momentary switch is connected across Zone 7. Of course, to do this zone must be given up as a protection zone. A normally closed key switch tamper switch wired in series with Zone 7, if activated, will disable key switch operation until the system is disarmed with the keypad. If you wish to terminate the 24-pin connector wiring at another location, cable harness extensions are available in 15 and 30-foot lengths. Or the 24-pin connector and its wiring harness can be replaced by the plug-in terminal strip. The self-contained Vista controls can be flush-mounted. In new construction installations, it is possible that a rough-in ring had been previously installed. This means that the wall had already been cut. You just have to remove a plate covering the opening. If a hole has not been pre-cut, carefully cut a hole between the studs that is 4 5/16 high by 7 3/4 inch wide. The opening must be no less than 1½ inches away from either stud. Be careful that the hole is not cut any larger than specified. Again, we recommend that you use a keyhole saw to cut the hole. A special trim ring has been supplied for installation between the wall and the control in case the hole is cut a little too large. The control fits into the recess in the trim ring, and the ring will extend a ½ inch beyond the control front panel. Remove the securing screw on the front cover to release the back cover of the control. The back cover will no longer be needed, but hold on to the securing screw. Install the communications board and connect the battery. Pull all control wiring in the wall and splice the appropriate wires as shown in the summary of connections diagram. You can now mount the control. Insert the securing screw in the front of the control while attaching the metal clip at the rear. Turn the screw until the clip enters the guide point about 1/8 inch. Insert the straight end of the flat spring into the slot at the other side of the control. Now, with the metal clip in a downward vertical position, mount the control by hooking the spring behind the right edge of the opening so that it holds the control against the inside of the wall. Turn the screw. The clip will turn until it hits the clip stop and will then draw the control forward. Just continue turning the screw until the control is flush against the wall. At that point, make sure that the control is straight and tighten the screw further to secure the control firmly. Vista can also be surface mounted. An extender ring will be necessary if a communicator board is used. First, cut a small hole in the wall for the interface wiring. A template is provided to mark the positions on the wall for the screw mounting holes and the cutout. The cutout in the wall should be no larger than indicated, and remember to use wall anchors for the screws. Pull the interface wiring in the wall through the cutout. Now, splice these wires to the 24-pin interface connector wires. If a communicator board is used, the extender ring is required. Hook it to the front plastic on one side and snap it into place. Check the wire connections carefully in the summary of connections diagram printed in the installation instructions. When the interface wiring is completed, keep a record of it on the wire assignment tag attached to the wires on the 24-pin connector. Backup power will have to be supplied from a remote location, unless you can cut a small hole in the wall for the number 4132 battery back box. As an alternative, you can use a double-gang electrical box in the wall behind the unit to hold the battery. Mount the back cover to the wall with screws. Now, attach the 24-pin connector to the mating interface pins at the bottom of the control board. Attach the main body of the control to the back cover. If your installation has concrete, cinder block, or brick wall construction, the surface, recess, or flush mount installation methods may not be practical. A fourth method, using a wall-mounted metal cabinet, can be used. The metal cabinet is available in two sizes, 8-inch by 8-inch by 2, or 12-inch by 12-inch by 3. The larger cabinet can hold the control and its communication interface, and any optional modules like a siren driver, line fault monitor, and ground start module. The larger cabinet can carry up to a 6 amp-hour battery. The smaller cabinet carries the control, communication interface, field wiring, and the 1.2 amp-hour battery. The control is mounted in a cutout in the door of the cabinet. There is a mounting flange on each side of the opening. Now, position the control and insert the 1-inch number 6 self-tapping screw through the front of the control into the left flange. Tighten the screw lightly until secure. Now, insert the 1/2-inch number 4 screw into the other flange from the back. Secure it into the plastic at the back of the control. Make sure the control is straight and when it is, tighten the screws fully. The 4130 XT, the 5130 XT, and the 4140 AT can be expanded from 9 wired zones to 17 wired zones. The 3 components required for this are the number 4171 XT digital communication interface, which comes standard with the control, the number 4152 LM loop module, and a number 4208 8-zone expander. The 4170 ATX comes standard with the loop module. Remember that any of Ademco's vector accessories can be used with Vista. All of the sensors have built-in remote point modules for individual point identification. These are exceptionally low-current devices that only require 2 wires for both power and signaling. They include vector smoke detectors, the vector quad PIR, the vector topaz PIR, vector contacts, vector 2-zone expanders, and vector 8-zone expanders. The system can be expanded to more than 9 wired zones by installing the loop module on the communications board. Find the 8 connector pins on the communicator. Position the loop module 8-pin socket over the pins and press down until the pins are in firmly. Now, secure the loop module with the 3 supplied screws. Connect twisted pair wiring from the loop module terminals 1 and 2 to terminals 11 and 12 on the 4208 zone expander. 1 should go to terminal 11 and 2 should go to terminal 12. These wires provide both power and signaling and should be at least 3 inches away from any intercom or telephone wiring. The zone expander can be near the control or up to 2,400 feet away from it, depending on the wire gauge used. It's very helpful to use the 8-zone expander on the top floor, as 2 wire loops offer a substantial labor savings over home running. Check the chart and the installation instructions for the maximum wire runs allowed. Set the dip switches in the zone expander so that switches 2, 3, and 4 are on, and so that switch 5 is in the off position. Each of the 8 zones available on the zone expander can be programmed using the Vista's standard zone types. The zone expander zones are all end-of-line resistor supervised, and 2 of them may be selected by dip switch number 1 for fast response. Fast response might be used for some vibration or glass break sensors. An alternative to the use of the number 4208 zone expander is the use of any number of vector-type remote point modules, up to a maximum of 8. A comprehensive flowchart concerning power consumption and expansion is printed in the Vista application notes. A chart to calculate acceptable current loads is also in the application notes. The Vista controls are powered by the 1350 power pack, which supplies 700 milliamps at 18 volts DC. The standard backup battery in the self-contained Vista is a number 484, which is a 1.2 amp hour 12 volt battery. Any UASA battery from 1.2 to 6 amp hours can be used. The 4140 AT Vista in a metal cabinet is not supplied with a battery, so you can choose the size that's best for your installation. After supplying its own needs, the self-contained Vista control can supply 280 milliamps of continuous console and auxiliary current. The Vista AT can supply 400 milliamps, and the Vista ATX can supply 600 milliamps. Magnetic contacts draw negligible current, so you only have to be concerned about motion detectors and 4-wire smoke detectors. For example, the Ademco 1875 Topaz draws 15 milliamps, and the 1877 Quad draws 30 milliamps. The vector versions of the Quad and Topaz are special devices with an extremely low current draw, less than 1 milliamp. The BRK 1800 and 2800 2-wire smoke detectors require negligible current draw and need not be calculated. These are limited to 3 per system by the control, and they have to be wired to zone 1. Additional 4-wire smokes can be wired to zones 2 through 8 with external power interrupt provided by an external momentary switch. Let's take a look at an example of the remote keypads and sensors that can be driven by a self-contained Vista system. Say 2 4137 remote consoles are used. The total current draw would be 200 milliamps. That leaves 80 milliamps left. With that, the system could drive 5 Topaz PIRs and still have room for 3 2-wire smokes. If the zone expander is used, the number of sensors in the system can be greatly increased. That's because the vector sensors have very low current draw. If you desire even greater support of peripheral devices, there is another way to support multi-console operation. The simple addition of a second 1350 power pack at less than $8 can drive up to 7 4137 or 5137 consoles. In this case, a 0.5 amp auxiliary current fuse in the control will have to be replaced with a 1 amp fuse. To conserve battery power in the event of a power outage, the control can be programmed to back up selected consoles only. One 740 alarm sounder can be used, or 2 740s in parallel. The BRK PA400B 85 decibel piezo alert sounder only draws 15 milliamps. If you wish to use a bell as an alarm sounder, you can use an MSECO ABB 1031 or MSB 10G, which draws 100 milliamps. If you wish to drive a traditional siren with the Vista control, a number 4148 relay module must be connected. The Vista system can be programmed directly from the control's keypad or from any remote console. It can also be programmed from Ademco's 699 intelligent programmer. The XT and AT models can be programmed directly from an IBM PC at the central station. The programming information is stored in a non-volatile EEPROM memory in the control. No programmed information can be lost in a power outage, and it can be changed at any time by authorized personnel. If you are familiar with the procedures to program the vector line of controls, you will find that the Vista programming procedure is essentially the same. The fixed English display will read out the programming steps numerically. The custom English display will provide both English language prompting and numeric feedback to the programming procedure. There are 2 ways to enter the Vista's programming mode. First, within 30 seconds of powering up the unit, simultaneously press the star and pound keys. As an alternative, enter the product number, in this case enter 5130, followed by the code and 0 keys. Once the installer code is programmed, it will be used instead of 5130 to enter the programming mode. The system is factory programmed to a set of preset values. These can be altered by the installer to suit the needs of a particular installation. These preset values are detailed in the factory programming table of the installation instructions. Fill out a blank programming chart and assign the parameters and zone types that are required for the installation. There are a number of ways to navigate through the programming addresses. An address is the location of a specific programmable function. When you first enter the programming mode, you will be at address 00. To advance to a certain address, enter a star and then the specific address number. Remember to precede a single-digit address number with a 0. If the number is 9, enter star 09 to go to that address. While you're in the address, you can make the appropriate data entries. When an address has been completely programmed, the control will beep 3 times and automatically move to the next address. In some cases, there will be unused spaces in the data field, especially when programming phone numbers. For example, address 33 is the primary phone number, and it allows up to 12 digits of data entry. But you might only need 9. In this case, after you finish entering the last digit of the phone number, manually move to the next address by entering star 34. If you would like to go to an address to read it only, enter pound and then the address you would like to read. The information stored at the address will be read out in sequence on a numeric display until the end of the address field is reached. Let's look at some of the programming fields that you will encounter. In Field 1, you will have to enter the security code. Fields 2 through 5 will assign any of the 10 zone response types each individual zone should have. Let's say you wanted zones 1 through 3 to have entry-exit delay 1, and zones 4 through 8 to be perimeter burglary zones. You would enter the number 01 3 times in Field 2, and then you would enter the number 03 5 times. The first set of entry-exit delays are chosen in Fields 9 and 10. These are programmed in 15-second increments. Likewise, the duration of the alarm sounder is programmable between 2 and 30 minutes and is set in field 13. Other fields you might encounter to customize a system are field 15, which enables key switch arming, field 17, which enables the transmission of a trouble signal on AC loss. Field 19 enables or disables the control's internal sounder. Field 29 determines whether the quick arm option can be used. Field 30 chooses between rotary or touch-tone dialing. Field 31 is reserved for PABX access code. And Field 41 enables the use of end-of-line resistors. If you are using an Alpha Vista, you can set custom zone descriptors. There's a vocabulary of 220 words built into the system. A listing of these words are printed in the installation instructions. A special EEPROM is available with a Spanish or French vocabulary. To program the Alpha descriptors and messages, enter *93 when you're in the programming mode. The display will ask you for a zone number to program. To select Zone 1, enter *01. Note that the first letter of the alphabet appears after the zone number. Key 3 will advance you through the alphabet, and Key 1 will take you backward. Say we want the word bedroom. We move to B and press the 6 key. This will display the first word in the vocabulary under B. We can then advance through the words by pressing the 3 key. We get to bedroom, and now we can choose the second word by pressing 6 and finding another word in the same way. When the desired words have been entered, press 8 to store it in memory. Up to 5 words of your choice can be added to the vocabulary. At the screen requesting a zone number entry, enter 00. This will take you into the edit mode. Key the number of the custom word to be created from 0 through 4. If this is the first word, we'd enter 0. We now get a blinking cursor on the second line. Use the 3 key to advance through the alphabet, numbers, and symbols. The 1 key will move you back. When you have reached the desired character, press the 6 key to select it. You are then ready to select the next character. If you make an error and would like to erase a character, press the 7 key. When the custom word is completed, press the 8 key to add the word to the system's vocabulary. The communication programming parameters should be determined before you reach the installation site. These selections are largely determined by the central station to establish compatibility with its equipment and the reporting codes that the central station likes to use. The basic Vista system offers 4 communication formats. These include Ademco Low Speed, Radionics Low Speed, Sescoa, and a 4+2 message format using these 3 basic reporting schemes. The Vista XT and AT offer the Ademco High Speed and the Ademco Express formats. Ademco High Speed and Ademco Express are the fastest formats in the alarm industry. Ademco High Speed alarm information on 8 zones can be received at the central station in less than 5 seconds. An optional 16-second dial delay is programmable. The communication message is created in a 2-stage process. First, when a zone is triggered by an alarm, the control steers a message to one of 15 channels on the communicator. For example, say zones 3, 6, and 7 have all been assigned as perimeter burglary zones. These zones can all be assigned to an individual channel. For our example, they are assigned to channel number 1. These channel assignments are accomplished in addresses 61 through 64. Now, with this done, the communicator understands the message. It knows that zones 3, 6, and 7 are common to channel 1. But for the central station to know that zone 3 is perimeter burglary, the message has to be transmitted to the central station in a language it will understand. So the second step is that each channel has to be assigned a particular reporting code. The reporting codes are determined by the central station, based upon what they normally use to identify the different zone types. When programming addresses 65 to 68, each channel is assigned a central station reporting code. For example, our channel 1, that has been assigned to all perimeter burglary zones can now send code 1 to the central station, as our central station recognizes this as a perimeter burglary. If a traditional low-speed format is desired, a determination has to be made between the use of Ademco low-speed format or Sescoa radionics. If Ademco low speed is chosen, enter a 0 in field 46 for the primary number and in field 48 for the secondary phone number. If it was Sescoa radionics, a 1 would be entered instead. Typically, the central station will receive from the control a message which will consist of a 3 or a 4 subscriber number, followed by a 1 or 2-digit number showing the type of alarm and the faulted zone. These formats are known as either 3+1, 4+1, or 4+2. The 4-digit account number is becoming more popular because it enables many more accounts to be entered on the same line card at the central station. The 4 digits can be in the hex number system. This system reports the numbers 11 to 15 with the letters B to F. Where the hex system can be used, your installation instructions contain a footnote so that you can put in the corresponding 2-digit numbers. Your central station can receive standard or expanded messages. A standard message in 4+1 might look like this. The account number is represented as 4 characters in hexadecimal and an event code of 3, which would signify burglary, for example. An expanded message would look like this. The second line shows that the ID of the channel number is 5. This allows the central station to identify which zone is involved. In the 4+2 format, the same report would take place in one line, showing account number, the event, followed by channel ID. The Ademco downloading procedure enables a Vista security system to be managed entirely from an IBM PC or compatible computer. This PC must use a DOS level of 3.1 or higher, and we recommend that the system use a hard disk. The computer will communicate using a compatible modem. The Ademco downloading software is like an electronic filing cabinet as it maintains subscriber account data. It can also act as a master control center, which can remotely program and control all of your account's security systems. The downloading software uses a multi-level security process to protect your business and customer base. Let's take a look at a further description of Ademco downloading and its system of data protection. What you are about to see is from the Ademco presentation of the National Technicon video conference, sponsored by Ademco Distribution. The host is John Laurenti, Ademco's Midwest General Sales Manager.
Downloading and remote control looks like it could be a great advantage to every alarm company. But let's take a closer look at downloading. If you do not select the correct downloading system, downloading can put you out of business. Ask yourself and every single manufacturer these questions. If you can gain access to your customer's control panel, can someone else? Can your competitor? Can a thief? Can an ex-employee? Here's how Ademco has solved these big security problems. You're now looking at the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. From this listening post, the Russian government is eavesdropping on millions of telephone conversations in the United States every day. The kind of problem our government has in protecting information from the Russians is similar to the problem you have whenever you use downloading. The Cylink Corporation of Silicon Valley is a leading manufacturer of equipment that secures military communications. You may not know that the Cylink company is part of Ademco. And what's very important to know is that the secure communication experts at Cylink have developed all the high security aspects of the Vista Vector downloading system. It is vital for you to understand that all downloaders are not the same. The choice of the right downloader is critical to the future of your business. Let's look at where you can be vulnerable in the downloading process. First, you'll be storing all the pertinent information about your accounts on a diskette. If someone steals the diskette from you, he could gain access to all your subscribers. For the Ademco downloading system, Cylink has developed a unique encoding technique so that no one but you can make use of this diskette. If an employee of yours leaves and steals the diskette, it is totally useless to him. Second, when you remote control or program panels from your central station or office, all the information passes over the phone line. If a thief is listening on the line, he could burglarize your customer. The Silink encryption technique makes this impossible. Third, you want to make sure that you are the only person who can gain access to your panels. So naturally, we built in an advanced callback technique. Fourth, what happens if you try to access your panels and an answering machine is present? With the capability available to us, we've solved this problem without the need for extra modules. It's already built in, free, with every panel. And we've gone one step further. Are you concerned about competitors stealing your accounts? Wouldn't you like to be able to lock up your panels so that no competitor could ever take them over? With the Ademco downloader, every panel has this lockout capability built in.
After the installation of the system, carefully test its operation. Check that Ready or Ready to Arm is displayed. If not Ready is displayed, press the star key to display the faulted zone or zones. The alpha display will prompt you in English. When Ready is displayed, enter the security code and press the test key. The system must have an adequate battery voltage to enter the test mode, and it will not enter the test mode if any communication messages are waiting to be transmitted. A single beep will sound at 15-second intervals if no protection zones are violated. No reports will be sent to the central station, and an external sounder won't be activated. Open and close each protected door and window. Each action should produce 3 beeps from the control, and the ID numbers for each protection zone will appear on the display. Walk in front of any PIRs that are installed. In the same way, the control should beep and visually identify the PIR's zone number. Follow the test procedure provided by the manufacturer for each smoke detector. When you are finished testing each sensor, exit the test mode by entering the security code and the off key. Also, make sure that you test the sounder and communication function by triggering an alarm condition. Before handing the system over to the customer, carefully run through the operation of the system and be sure to show them the built-in user's manual if you're using an Alpha Vista. Simply hold down the function key and the instructions will scroll on the display. Let's quickly run through the basic features ourselves. To arm the system when leaving, just enter the security code and press the Away key. The armed indicator will light and an away message will be displayed. If one is staying home but expecting a later arrival, the user should enter the security code and the Stay key. The interior protection devices are disarmed to allow movement throughout the interior. If no later arrival is expected, arm the system with the Instant key. All perimeter zones will react instantly to an entry. The Maximum key is used for maximum security when remaining home. It should be used only when movement in the house will be restricted to areas not covered by interior zones. Individual zones can be bypassed by entering the security code and the bypass key, followed by the zone number to be bypassed. In an XT model, all single-digit zone numbers must be preceded by a 0. The word bypass will be displayed to indicate the presence of one or more bypassed zones. These zones can be identified by entering the security code and then the bypass key. A temporary code can be added by entering the main security code, followed by the code key, then the user number the code will be assigned to, and then the temporary code you want to use. The code can be removed by repeating the procedure, using the main security code as the new temporary code. The chime function can be enabled when the system is disarmed by entering the security code and the chime key. It is turned off by repeating the procedure. If the user is forced to disarm the system under threat, the ambush procedure can be used if a central station service is utilized. The first 3 digits of the security code are entered, and the last digit is increased by 1. Now, for example, the code 1234 would become 1235. The system will disarm, but a silent message will communicate to the central station. However, remember that security codes ending in 9 do not have an ambush capability. That concludes this training program on the installation of the Ademco Vista series. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call Ademco's technical support hotline, toll-free at 800-645-7492. Once again, that's 800-645-7492. Thank you for joining us.